Just let us know when we're live. Now, wait. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Shalene Huey Booker, and we are here with the LDL Empowerment Institute. We are so incredibly excited to be here for a very special feature tonight. As we all are aware, this is Women's History Month. And right here in the LDL Empowerment Institute, where women are being empowered to be world changers every single day, we are so fortunate to have one of our very own everyday history makers. Yes, her name is Miss Arva Campbell, and she is coming to us 70 years young, having achieved some amazing things in life, successful children, one of the greatest educators to her given region, and we are so happy to have her with us here tonight. Thank you so much, Miss Arva, for joining us. You look absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here as well with my sisters.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I just want to kick this conversation off with you by saying, if there was a phrase or a motto that you could think of that would exemplify your journey and your passion that you have for what you do, what would it be?
At any given moment, you have the power to say, this is not how the story is going to end.
Whoa, that is powerful. At any given moment, you have the ability to say this is not how the story is going to end. That is very powerful. And what is your motivation behind that? Why did you choose that specifically?
Well, I had a lot of ups and downs growing up. I'm a 50s girl, a baby boomer, and I was fortunate to be raised in a culture that nourished everyone's gifts, but sometimes we didn't know the gifts were there. And I was always a curious type, growing up on the west side of Oakland in the mid-50s. And I used to make voyages to the Charles Green Library, which is now the African American Museum and Library. And I would always go to storybook time, and I would listen to stories about Madeline in Paris. And my vision was way beyond my zip code. And I just kind of let that rest in my mind's eye for many years until it actually happened. Early 60s, my family and we moved to the west side of Berkeley. Berkeley schools were not integrated in the 60s until 1965. My first French teacher was a wonderful African-American woman that I've cherished all of my life. She taught me French, and she taught me how to sing. And she would give us virtual tours to Paris as she stood at the door greeting us to come in. Wow. So I always had I was always virtually somewhere else. But then something happened traumatic in 9th grade. The schools were integrated. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden my A's and B's went to D's and F's. I said, what happened? I'm not getting this. I'm not understanding what. And so obviously there were some systemic things going on that I was totally unaware of. Sure. And my French teacher that way, this new one said, I think you need to get out of the class. It's just a little bit too much for you. And I cried like a baby. I said,
Sure.
Mother, I don't understand why I have to get out of the class. I don't know what happened. Well, some of my students, their parents were professors at UC Berkeley, or either they had already gone to Europe 3 times before they were 3. So the dynamics were quite different. And I stuck it out, even though the teacher said you can't do it. See, it's not how the story is going to end when you decide it's going to end. So I got out of French in the 9th grade with a D, and I was happy. Then my journey continued on until I went on to high school, thrived, was offered a trip to study abroad anonymously, went to Europe, went to Paris, went to Switzerland, came back, went to college, got my degree in French. The poor 9th grade teacher didn't know no better. And so as a teacher that I taught for 23 years, middle school students, I look at them for who they are, not what they are. I don't care if they're considered special ed and special everything else. Find what makes that child tick and boost them along the way. So that's been my mantra ever since the 9th grade.
What a powerful statement. You took the negativity that was fed to you and turned it into fuel that you were able to then affect history, right?
Yes, yes.
You're making history by changing the narrative of the students in which you've been fortunate and which they've been fortunate to be a part of your classrooms. So let's talk about that. You took that moment and you were okay with a D. That's a powerful, you were okay with the D simply because you were able to stay in the classroom and you made it through.
Yes.
That alone is a powerful statement to being able to look past what you see and simply knowing that you've been assigned to be in a certain place. I hope that people out there on Facebook and here on our Zoom are catching that. It's not always about what others may deem it to be about. It's about knowing your end goal, where you're trying to get, and staying right in the flow of it. So tell us about this. I understand that you are a French teacher.
Well, I did go ahead and get my degree in French, and I'm certificated to teach 7 through 12, but my niche is middle school. And for me to be able to teach French, I would have had gone to the high school, but I always created opportunities to teach. I always had a French club for my students, particularly our kids of color, to let them know they're not defined by the railroad tracks by their school or the exhaust pipe. They're not defined by the litter or the guys that hang on the block. It's all about what's in your heart. And so I would offer French classes at school, after school. I take kids on virtual trips to Paris like they were already there. In fact, I took students to Paris. Don't ask me. I will never do that again as an adult, except my grandchildren and y'all's kids too. I'll take them. I took students from my school twice to Europe, and some of my kids now are thriving. Some of them are out of high school. They're teaching. They're traveling, they're doing what they need to do. And these were just regular, everyday, supposedly identified as, underserved and every other negative connotation. I said, you can do this. Yes. And they said, okay, Madam Campbell, okay. And so I found other ways of using my French because I chose not to teach high school. I like the middle school kids.
And so what have you specialized in teaching the middle schoolers?
History.
And what type of history?
U.S. history as well as world history for 23 years. And I also taught a college readiness course called AVID. And some parents will know what AVID is. And I was the sort of the chairperson of our Black Student Union Club. And just giving some positive support to our kids of color, regardless of what color they are in the crayon box. It didn't matter.
Yes. And so you retired, but passion kind of took you back in a little bit, I hear.
Yeah. I was on let me tell you, I took 6 months off to watch episodes of Perry Mason. I watched all of them. There was no more to watch. And then I said, you know what? I'm not utilizing the gifts God gave me, even though he gave me the ability to retire after 23 years at the same school. And an opportunity came up where I was talking with one of my colleagues, just asking her, how are things going at school? And she kind of gave me some feedback. And then she mentioned that our current principal was offering an African-American literature class. I said, a what? All those years I was there, huh? And so I just kind of turned my head. I said, And she said, Arva, they've had nothing but substitutes and it's been a disaster. I said, okay. So I applied. And of course, I had to apply as a new teacher, but everything zeroed back to where I left off. And I just marched right on in, and it was not easy. The students were not used to order and boundaries. Expectations were not where they should be. I had to play videos like Sister Act 2. I say, look, if you want to be somebody and if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. I had to get on that level. I said, look, some of you, I was your mama's teacher. And that is true. Some of the kids in my class, I taught their mother. I got the yearbook out. See, there she is. I'm going to tell her. So after I start building relationships with the kids, they start realizing she's for real. She's not a mirage. She's not a fly on the wall. She's not here and going to leave us. And so I've been fortunate, even though we went into the current state of affairs last March, I applied again for this fall, and I've been teaching Zooming with my wonderful 28 kids of color, all colors of the new Crayola box. They have a new color.
Yes, I'm aware.
I'm just loving all my little chocolate and vanilla and caramel colored kids. And they think I'm nuts, and it's all good.
Absolutely. Because there's something about you that I'm sure they go home and they're talking about Madam Arva. Is that what they call you?
My French kids, yeah, Madam Arva or Miss Campbell. Yeah.
Miss Campbell.
Yeah.
So aside from teaching, there was something about this teacher prior to integration that ignited a passion in you for world travel. So much to the point that you actually established a company around traveling. Is that my understanding? Is that
yes? My high school French teacher, and we are still in touch today. I'm this kind of person, once I friend you, unless I determine and discern this is not a good friend, you are a friend for life. And my two French teachers, that I owe a lot to, Dr. Barbara Cannon, she transitioned a couple of years ago, and I was asked to come and speak at her memorial. And she was the one that inspired me to go to Paris. And then my high school French teacher, who is going to be 90 this month. Wow. We periodically get together for dinner. And I think because of the way things are now, I'm not sure if he's coherent anymore. But because of his vision, and he saw me in his class, and I had just started wearing glasses then, but I chose not to, because, I wanted to look cute and in vogue, and I couldn't see the blackboard. So I sat that close to it, and I thrived in this class. And to make a long story short, an opportunity came for students to travel abroad. I just looked at the man. I said, I knew that I was going to go to school. I was going to go to Merritt Junior College. Some of you from the Bay Area on Grove Street. Now it's Martin Luther King Jr. Way. I was going to go there. I wasn't going to bug mom and dad. They were working hard, trying to keep our family together and providing for us. And then I was going to transfer to a 4-year. So I had that in my mind. After I received this trip anonymously, I had no idea who had paid for my trip. My mom and dad came down to Berkeley High School, and the counselor at that time, Dr. Olson, I'll never forget him. He had a meeting with mom and dad, and he assured them she's going to be okay. Nobody's going to take her and blah, blah, blah. See, growing up in the 60s, I was slightly radical, but I only went so far because daddy and mama, dad was a minister, a pastor, and they brought me up in the fear of God. So I couldn't be too fast, just kind of keep, on the fringe. But I had a wild streak. I would take risks. Oh, God. I went hitchhiking in Switzerland, got on somebody's truck. I don't know who it was. I went to an optometrist and got my eyes checked because I lost my glasses. Everything I spoke was in French. They could speak zero English. I was extremely fluent because of that trip. Worked in a Swiss watch shop, selling watches for 3 days to all the tourists because the owner couldn't speak English. And the list goes on, but I owe it all to people that saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And that's why I've always been passionate. When I teach kids, even if they're labeled la, 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 no. There's something there that I can reach to help them be their best selves. And so after going on this trip, I've established friendships in Europe, particularly Paris. That's my home away from home. I'm 12 trips, man. Just I know it like I know my East Oakland neighborhood. Okay. And I like to take everybody with me, regardless, because travel does something. It enlarges your perspective. And I always make a point of finding a church to fellowship with. And I already have a sister church that I love, that I'm going to be going to, Lord willing, on my next trip to Paris. And so that's how my story began. One teacher saw something that I didn't see. I had the passion. Another teacher, 3 years later, gave me the push. And mom and dad looked at me and said, do you want to do this? Yes. And man, I had my beret and I was out.
Oh, we so love you. Had her beret and she was out. So the name of this company that you established was Go Arva Tours, correct?
Yes, Go Arva Tours. I haven't done a lot, but I have clients. We've been waiting since May of 2020. We were supposed to head to Barcelona and Madrid, and then we changed it to 2021. And then I circle back to my team. I like to, be very, what can I say, upfront. I said, first of all, the countries don't even want us there. And I don't know if we're feeling safe and comfortable to go in May. So I've deferred it to May 2022, if the Lord says the same and it's his will. And so I got this desire because I started at 17 going abroad. That did it.
Wow.
And at 70, I'm still want to go there.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Now, speaking into that, just a shameless plug with this company, if people were still wanting to sign up to experience going on one of these trips with Madam Arva, is there a way for them to sign up with Go Arva Tours?
All they have to do is just let me know, put the name in the chat. I'm now just firming up my trips for 2022. I've been praying about all of this, and I've got some things in place. I'll be launching the flyer on the trip. It'll be affordable, but quality. And I'll be your personal escort.
So listen, if this quarantine has not taught us anything else, it's taught us how to live for the moment and live abundantly. If you are looking for an opportunity to see something different, I love what she said. She said that travel enlarges your perspective. If you are looking to experience something of that matter, all you need to do at this point, and she told you there's going to be a flyer, but if you already know, I want to be in the know about traveling with such an amazing woman, all you need to do is look up Miss Arva Campbell right here on Facebook, or if you're joining us in the Zoom, that means you already have access to her through LDL. Embrace those moments and go see another part of the world that has the potential, of changing your perspective in a positive way. As we've already heard, there's no way that you can be around this particular history maker, she's still making history, and not see your life drastically changed for the better. I just love Miss Arva. I just absolutely love her. And I know that here at the LDL Empowerment Institute, we also do. Now, just changing over just a little bit, tell us about some of the other things that you do. My understanding is that this passion ignited way back then also took you into starting your own 501c3 organization, correct?
Yes. In fact, having got my initial degrees in my 20s, at 54, I went back to school and I got my master's degree. And the focus of the master's program, it was a group of us working together. And our focus was to help close the achievement gap at our school of our African-American students. And then I taught for Hayward Unified School District, which is about a 20-minute distance from where I live. And then as I would go to work, I would go through my neighborhood. I'm saying, I'm over there. What about over here? And so I began to look at what could I do to empower our kids. And fortunately, my church is in proximity to where I live, and there was a facility available that I could utilize to have a summer enrichment program. So I did that for 5 years, 2006 to 2011. I got all my colleagues. I said, look, I can pay you, but I need you to serve these kids. I had a musician, an artist, a chef. The kids did a garden. They did their own gardening, music. I taught a French class. I had someone teaching Spanish, reading intervention for those that were struggling readers. And it was just a summer enrichment program for 5 years while I worked full time. And then I just sort of like got involved in my work and just let the 501c3, I put it on the shelf. But let me tell you what happened.
Tell us what happened.
Dr. Lakita Long and the Walk It Off girls and the LDL, I'm telling you, when she said we need to take massive action, oh my God, that did it. I raised my hand. And everything, honestly, this is the honest truth. Everything that I had put on hold has been revived in the last week and a half. My 501c3, I didn't let it lapse. I just submitted what they needed for 2021. My travel business, I enrolled in a university online so I can get professionally developed. Funding, I enrolled in a company called Fundable University to help me know how to access grants and to be my best. And then my story, my memoir that I wrote in 2010, I brought in an illustrator who is my oldest granddaughter. And I had my memoir on a little floppy disk, a little one like this, for 10 years. And then I had it on a flash drive for another 10 years. And so I looked at the footer of the draft and I told my granddaughter, I said, I wrote this about 10 years ago. She said, no, Mimi, this says 2010. I said, 2010? It's been that long? Oh my God. No, excuse me, 2001, not 2010. And so as a result of the LDL Empowerment Institute and Dr. Lakita Long's, I'm not going to say pushing us, but encouraging us to go within and see what are those nuggets that are there that are dormant and let them come to life. And so within 2 weeks' time, everything is coming to life. Now I got to go get some training on how to prioritize because it's coming at me so quickly. But so that is sort of what catapulted me into doing even here today. I raised my hand. You know, I said, yes, I have to, you know, I'm a late bloomer and everything. My whole life is late. I went into teaching at age 45. I had my credential at age 26. And I said, look, we get 70 summers. That's what Dr. Lakita used to say. I said, oh Lord, I hope I get more than 70 because I'm just beginning.
What a powerful statement. Yeah. You've been saying that you truly to raise your hand. And when you to raise your hand, it felt as though you began to live again. Out there in Facebook world, and here in the LDL Empowerment Institute, may we just pause for a moment to challenge you to raise your hand.
Yes.
Because much that is inside of each and every one of us that will enable us to do things, right? And I love what she said. Listen. If you aren't a part of this institute, absolutely no problem. We totally stand this. But listen to what she said. Key thing, being around the right people changed her life drastically in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Being around a group of people that were helping to cultivate her gifts, giving her confidence, giving her the truth, radically changed her life. This is a big part of what the LDL Empowerment Institute is all about. And Miss Arva, my goodness, what a spokesperson of truth you in the evening. You're going, I'm sure God delay his coming. Still strap your berets with the beret. So Miss Arva, you have told us about being a teacher. You've told us about being a nonprofit owner. You've told us about having your traveling business. You've told us now about having a memoir, a book that you're working on right now. But here's something that is really interesting that I found out in reviewing your layout for life. There's a song that has traveled all across the world. And you were a part of the group that sung this song called Oh Happy Day. Is this the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm almost just, I don't know what to do with you. I mean, I really don't know what to do with you. You're just in it all. Tell us about your experience in the music world.
Okay, it started again when I was in 7th and 8th grade in the girls' glee. And my French teacher, who was my choral teacher, taught us how to sing. I'm a member of the Church of God in Christ. My dad was our pastor for 40 some odd years. So I was deeply rooted in the word, not traditions, not stuff that don't make no sense, the word. And I really feel that with that empowerment, it helped me to desire more. And so 1966, I auditioned with Edwin Hawkins. My sister and I both did. And we had to go, la, 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 la. And he said, okay, you're in. I said, oh, I'm in. Had no idea, just loved to sing. We were members of the Northern California State Youth Choir. Our bishops and state mamas and all those other folks are long gone in heaven. And we sang all over the Bay Area. Some of your mothers know, and your grandmothers. And we recorded in 1966, we recorded Oh Happy Day, along with a number of other songs. Then 69, I went off to college and came back, and the song was a hit. And so we hit the road. I've sung with a lot of people. And even Michael Jackson, I used to tell my kids that they don't, Miss Kim, you said, yes. He was 9 years old with a little derby, and we sang in Los Angeles on the same show. You know, then we went show business, okay? We came out of the church, we was in show business. And we recorded, and so that's how that began. It went, I was a part of the group because I love to sing. And obviously that was a part of my history. And then I went on with my career for teaching, but we recorded a number of albums, at least 3 or 4. And on this most recent video PBS on the Black Church, there's one little cameo of the choir. We were singing at Madison Square Garden, 1969. And see, I don't talk about any of this because it's history, but I get the opportunity to share with you all, and even my grandkids, they love that album. All the old school stuff, they love it. And so I'm grateful to the Lord for that opportunity to have been with the group and to have ministered at Edwin Hawkins' homegoing just a few years ago. And most of us are alive. There's some that's gone on, but I thank God that that helped me to be who I am today as well.
Wow, wow, wow. Amazing. So let me ask you another question. With all that you've seen through these 70 summers, especially riding on the heels of the 1960s, where civil rights movement and things of that matter were heightened. And I'm sure you saw some things that we read about in history that were damaging and had the potential to really shift one's mindset. Somehow it didn't shift yours. Somehow you continued forward. So the question is, how did you and how do you maintain such a positive mindset?
You know what? I think it's just maturing through time. I have made a lot of goofy mistakes and poor decisions and, you know, and not discerning, just operating on impulse. But I think as I've gotten a little older, I really realized those mistakes only help us to be who we are today. And even with the unrest and the social injustice that we're facing, it's nothing new under the sun. Solomon said it best. In the 60s, I was out there. I wasn't in the Black Panther Party. My parents wouldn't let me get in the Black Panther Party, but I was an advocate. Growing up in Berkeley, how can you not be an advocate? But I knew my boundaries. And even today, as I teach my students, I let them look at, help them to focus on what the good, in spite of the ugly and the bad. Let's see what the good is and get your skill sets in place, because nobody owes you anything. You owe it to yourself. And so I try to change the language so that it is affirming and not, oh, poor me, poor me. And I'm prayerful and I ask the Lord, and I don't mind being taught. I'm teachable. That's number one. You don't get to be all that and a bag of chips. You have to be teachable. So I'll get my pen and pencil and my paper, and I'm ready to learn as well. And so that helps. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's commonly said that the best teachers are those that are continuing to learn and demonstrating that in every aspect of the word. And we are so grateful to you for that. I just have a few more questions, and then we want to open it up to those that are here on Zoom and also on Facebook. If you have any questions, we will be monitoring that we can ask this beautiful, beautiful lady. So one other piece of your life, you have two amazing sons, I hear that you say, that have been very successful. What are your proudest mommy moments?
Oh my God. I think my proudest mommy moments is when they tell me what to do. And I listen. The next generation is wise. We've already deposited. I've deposited, their grandparents have deposited, they've got their education, they have their wonderful wives that love the Lord. And when they tell me what to do, I just kind of look and, okay. And then so I just think being able to learn from them has been a blessing, because they know more. They're in a different, not a dispensation, but generation. And so I value what I give ear to what they say, and that helps.
Very, very, very powerful. Very powerful. I love that. I did not expect you to say that at all. I was expecting you to give, just a laundry list of some of the greatest things that your children have accomplished, but it just speaks to your humility, and it speaks to why you are continually making history, not just any type of history, because we know that any past events or any current events is going to be stamped in history, but you're making positive moves that we don't need to just look to Rosa Parks. We don't just need to look to Martin Luther King. We're able to look at the Arva Campbells of our world and see that this woman is making history for the better, for the good, that others can look at it and their lives can be changed. So I think at this point, is there one thing, if there was I want you to address 2 or 3 different people. Let's look at it from this standpoint. What would you first tell a 19-year-old? And then what would you tell a 35-year-old? And what would you tell a 70-year-old? What would be the words of wisdom that you would give to the 19, 35, and 70-year-old person?
I would almost give the same message. To the 19-year-old, I'd say, go for it. Take the risk, go. To the 35-year-old, don't have any ill feelings because you haven't acquired what you thought you're supposed to be at. Pick up where you left off. And the 70-year-old girl, get going. Get going. Get going and get your entourage and get a partner with those who can help you in the areas that you feel challenged, because we are, we support each other in so many ways. Prayer and education and professionalism, there's a lot, we can draw. So I would say an older person, get a mentor like we have. Get with people of kindred spirit. Negativity, just kick it to the curb. Say sorry. and even negativity in yourself. I have talked to myself so much till I'm tired of talking to myself. I need to talk to people. So that's what I would do. Find somebody to talk to inspire you.
It has been incredible hearing from you this evening. Well, we have some of the LDL Empowerment Institute with us. Are there any questions among us this evening at all? Any questions or comments for Madam, I just keep saying it, Madam Arva? Are there any? All right. I don't see any questions or comments. Wonderful. Well, Miss Arva, it has definitely been a pleasure. And I think this was the perfect way for us to kick off Women's History Month here at the LDL Empowerment Institute with such an amazing woman, with a story that's continuing to be written for many lives to be inspired and changed. On behalf of Dr. Long and the LDL Empowerment Institute, thank you so much for taking this time with us. And again, those of you that are looking to travel, don't forget, go Arva Tours. Make sure you look her up. And for those that may have been on the fence, yes.
I want to make one more comment, if I could. If you want to read my travel blog, storiesalacarte.blog.
Storiesalacarte.blog.
All lowercase, all one line. And that'll give you an idea of when I'm in Paris, I'm Parisian. And the rest is history.
Wow. Right. So you heard it from her. Storiesalacarte.blog, all lowercase. You can check it out and see how to act when you go overseas. See how to be when you go overseas. I absolutely love it. Well, on Facebook, we want to say thanks so much for joining us. And feel free for more information about the LDL Empowerment Institute. You can go to the website at ldlempowermentgroup.com to learn more about what we are doing, the changes that we are seeking to make in this given society through behavioral mindset modifications and just creating a positive outlet and connection to persons that have the same minds, have positive ways of life. So much for joining us, Facebook, and we will see you next time.